gender equality. Well, let's take a Māori perspective on that. The Europeans look at the marae, and the Prime Minister, Helen Clark, got all upset, and there's that whole thing, gender equality. I sit in the front row with Māori. Actually, Māori women, my aunties, you do not argue with your auntie. We know our aunties run the place. So it's, what is gender equality? My auntie sitting in the second and third rows, having just welcomed everyone on first, sitting there is this different perspective. They know who's in charge.
Yeah.
These guys at the front, they do the talking and the dancing and the singing. Here, both here in the second row and out in the kitchen, what is actually happening, we do. And we tell those stories. We protect those stories. We tell them. And then if you really want evidence of that, look at the land marches. Who led them?
Yeah.
In the end, who led them? That is not... It's how you perceive yourself.
Yeah.
So that whole stuff about where you sit in the marae is a European perspective on gender. And so that's something we share in this story in the 250th year. It's not just about navigation and science. It's about how you view relationships and everything. There is another way. So look at it. We're not just, let's not be angry about it. Let's go, oh shit. Actually, I tell you, there's not a single mongrel mob member who would ever argue with his auntie. Ever.
Yeah. And just in terms of the, like you talked about New Zealand of the Year, and then within the innovator category, the sort of presence of Māori. What are some of the other Māori-run businesses, particularly in that sort of tech innovation space that you admire?
Grant Straker is, and I didn't even know about him.
Yeah.
Just amazing. But there's stuff happening in some of the iwi things down around Rotorua with the power generation and all that sort of stuff. There's the design, and a lot of the stuff is all around sustainability. You should talk to Wayne Mulligan. Wayne Mulligan. And again, we have this meeting in the Coracle, we just go to, what are you up to, Wayne? He said, I'm just raising a 600 million or something, round of funding because we're doing the research at Otago University again with Abacus Bio to take pine trees, the waste in pine trees, and I can't remember what the number is, so you need to talk to him, but we think of pine trees as wood. Pine trees have in the middle of them the stuff that can be used to make totally biodegradable knives, forks, cups, saucers, plates, not disposable, biodegradable. Wow. And it lifts, I'm going to just make this number up, but it was something like the value of a tree is 28 times higher when it's used for this than it is for wood. So, Māori land, Papatūnuku, the earth, and you take this, and the whole concept is that this is what we use wood for, not for ripping it up, chucking all the sludge away. It started with, this is what we do with the sludge. So you only need a couple of examples that highlight this idea that Māori business is combining with Abacus Bio, and the university says we come with a concept that is about valuing the environment and making a bloody powerful business. Yeah. And given the way the environment is changing, the most valuable IP is going to be around that attitude to business.
Yeah. So this Rotorua power.
It's a lovely story, and they don't.
Sorry,
I'll have. Yeah, let me track it down and find it.
Okay.
But there's this wonderful story. So they built the geothermal plant out of just out of Taupo, I think. So, well, you'd have to check the facts, but the way they did, they went to banks. It's a bit like Whale Watch. They went to banks, and no one would fund them to do Whale Watch. So they just went round and they kind of everyone chucked in their own money. And look at Whale Watch. So this one, they went to banks, and the bank said to them, "You've got no history in. How are you going to build this?" They couldn't get any money here. I think they went to Israel, and in Israel, the Israelis looked at this and went, "Actually, you have everything that's needed: the land, the steam, the other shit. You bring it."
Yeah.
So anyway, they instead of making it for one of the power companies. They built their own. So they built this geothermal plant, started doing that, and then they looked at it and went, shit, there's all the steam coming off it. What could we do with that?
Yeah.
So they built these enormous glass houses. So they're one of the biggest producers of hothouse tomatoes, and did this into there. Then they went, Jesus, there's all this waste coming out of it. So they built another thing that now takes that waste and puts it all over the ground as a nutrient. So I need to find out who they give you a contact.
Well, that'll be amazing.
Because I think those stories are important, and they're there. But again, we've just, the kumara doesn't talk about its own sweetness.
I know.
Well, actually, we got to start doing it. Because how can we blame?
Well, that's sort of our job. We need a conduit for those stories to get to us.
Yeah. How do we start? Why we can't continue to accuse Pākehā of not understanding us if we don't.
Yeah.
Shout our sweetness.
Yeah. Or some sort of.
But I have great, I have seen an enormous change.
Yeah.
So this isn't an anger, and there will be a battle with Māori as well. So hey guys, team, now take a deep breath, just like we're doing in prisons. This is our responsibility. We've had all this time. Now let's us tell the story, but tell it in a way that we know these people that have been here for 250 years will understand. Let's touch their buttons.
Cool.
Right, I better go and get my.
Yeah.
If I hadn't left that thing in the taxi, I could put you. We have this battle with primary industries.
Yeah.
Primary industries sitting, the bloody tech industry. They think they're the next big thing. In the Māori perspective, what I'm saying to Māori is, the primary industries in the land, Papatūānui, is totally us. And the primary industries are, that's what we do. But here's what we have to do. At the moment, those primary industries generate low-value jobs. Now, let's actually use the land and the primary industries and develop IP on top of that using technologies.
Yeah.
That means that instead of hosing the shit out of the dairy factories or something, so our young Māori in Pacifica are designing the software that drives the drone, that flies the fields, that brings the data to make sure cows turn grass into better nutrients than before. It's not us or them. And, and the whole argument about, dairy farms, there's this whole city thing, tech things about you farmers down there. Well, let's just, when I talk to kids about what I grew up without, no electricity, no TV, no phone, no radio, I was speaking to a group of kids. They were given the challenge of using technology to solve a problem right across the country. In the finals, probably 60-70% of the problems they were solving were either environmental, mental health, clean water, getting rid of plastics. And as I looked at that, I thought, shit, you know what, kids? The other thing we didn't have when I was growing up, we didn't have supermarkets. We didn't have plastics. We didn't have motorways. We didn't have any of those. And guess what? We encouraged them.
Yeah.
We, your parents and us, the problems you're trying to solve, we all created. And now we're sitting there blaming the farmers.
Yeah.
Actually, we did this together. Let's get out together.
Yeah. Hey, it's been a fascinating
I told you it doesn't.
No, it's great. I'd so much rather that than a subject who doesn't know how to talk, which you get a lot more of.